Alright, yeah, welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be going into the Brawl queue, which you wouldn't really know actually exists, because Brawl seems to only appear on screen a third of the time, apparently. I believe this is maybe the first event to start up, kind of like, you know, new drafts and things like that, where it hasn't actually taken the space of one of these three. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, they've got this big splash screen here, but this one disappears quite quickly, and it only appears a third of the time on your screen. So, if you didn't know that it's Wednesday, and that's the Brawl day, you wouldn't know that you actually get to play Brawl today. But we're going to be playing Brawl, because I've got 9 hours left to play it. Wizards, please. This is silly. It's just silly. Wednesday Brawl. But don't tell anyone about it, because if you do, people will play it, and then the numbers will support that it should be evergreen. Moving on, that's enough ranting over that. We're going to be playing a Feather deck today, which is, honestly, full transparency, not that great of a deck. The problem with Feather is that she requires a lot of protection spells, things like God's Willing, to give her protection from the colour of her choice until the end of the turn. She needs a lot of those effects to kind of stay on the battlefield, otherwise removal tribal kind of decks will just run away with the game. So she is a little bit hit or miss, but she is a lot of fun to play. So we're going to be playing her today. Feather the Redeemed, 1 red, 2 white for a 3/4 with flying. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets a creature you control, exile that card instead of putting it into your graveyard as it resolves. If you do, then you get to return it to your hand at the beginning of the next end step, which basically means that we get to reuse targeted spells, things like God's Willing, as I mentioned. So we're going to be trying to get Feather down as early as possible. The time when we do that is going to depend highly on the matchup that we're up against. So if it's removal tribal, we're not really going to want to get down Feather until we can protect her from the removal spell your opponent has in hand with things like God's Willing or Justice's Portal as well to flicker her, things like that. If you can protect her, then you get her down, and then from there, your opponent basically needs to 2-for-1 themselves in order to beat the Feather, and if they can't do that, then they lose, essentially. So that's going to be the general gist of the deck. We're going to be playing a few Boros-based cards that actually like being targeted with all of these protection spells. So we've got things like 10th Street Legionnaire, which when it gets targeted, you get to scry and put a counter on it. Pretty good with haste as well. We've got Swiftblade Vindicator, which is keyword soup. If you put some counters on this, you're going to have a fun time. Double Strike, Vigilance, and Trample is pretty sweet. And yeah, adding a 1/1 counter to this every turn with something like Gird for Battle, or even like Infuriating it, is going to give you a lot of points very quickly. We got Krenko, Tin Street Kingpin, a 3-mana 1/2. When it attacks, you get to put a counter on it, and then create that many 1/1 red Goblin creature tokens. So if this gets left alone, similar to Feather, then you get to run away with the game. So it's one of those other alternative ways of destroying your opponent. You could think of this as like a secondary commander kind of card. We've got Tajik Legion's Edge as well, which prevents all non-combat damage that will be dealt to other creatures you control, which is an interesting little combo with this one, actually, that I've only just noticed today. The fight spells, basically, not only can your opponent not use them against you unless they're targeting Tajik, but you can also use them yourself. I've actually got Joust in here as an extra removal spell. We are missing a few targeted removal spells where you actually target your own creature and then target your opponents. But this actually means that Joust is reusable, so if we have this like on Feather, she can basically kill all 3/4s from existing with the Joust. Target creature fights another creature you don't control. It's not something that you see in red or white very often, so it's kind of a nice piece to have. But if it's a knight, then those creatures, that creature gets +2/+1 as well, and then they fight, which is kind of nice. We do have a few knights in here. We've got the Sky Knight Legionnaire, as well as, I think we've got some more. I think most of them are soldiers more than anything else, but I think we got one more. I think the Tactician. Yeah, the Tactician's a knight. And then we've also got Fireboy Knight as well. So there's a few creatures that do get a pump from that spell, but mostly it's here just as a way to remove creatures repeatedly. We used to have Reckless Rage before that rotated out. I think it was in Ixalan block, so, you know, that card's gone. Maybe in Historic Brawl this deck could be a lot better. We'll probably play some Historic Brawl at some point in the future, but I'm rambling. we got to keep on going. Most of the other stuff, though, is, you know, a little bit of removal. It's mostly pump spells. I'm not going to go into it too much, because most of them kind of speak for themselves. Some give haste, some give first strike, some scry, some draw you a card, like Defiant Strike. This is repeatable card draw. Remember, all of these, when you target your own creature, are actually going to come back to your hand at the beginning of the next end step, which means this is repeatable card draw for 1 mana. It's pretty sweet. We're running Hushbringer in here as a catch for Yarok decks and things like that, maybe a Golos deck as well. Being able to stop the enter the battlefield abilities is pretty good, especially since none of our creatures actually have them themselves, so there is literally no downside to running this card, and it's also a nice target as well for pump spells, being that it's a lifelinker and a flyer, which means it's hard to block. We've got Tomic, Distinguished Advocate, 2 mana for a 2/3, another catch-all kind of creature, lands on the battlefield and land cards in graveyards can't be the targets of spells or abilities your opponents control, i.e. Nissa, who shakes the world, is unplayable as long as you have a Tomic, which is great. It means that she can't take up, and all you have to do then is worry about her passive, and the likelihood is that you're going to be able to push through and kill with all of your flyers. Most of it kind of speaks for itself, though. Tome of Legends is a bit of card draw. We've got Chance for Glory in here as an extra combat step. I've actually won with this a few times, so a little bit better in this deck than it is in most, surprisingly, though, of course, this is still one of those hit-or-miss kind of cards, nonetheless. Outlaw's Merriment is some late-game potential, allows us to have a random collection of tokens. I'll let you guys read that one. And yeah, that's kind of the gist of the deck. Oh, we've also got Bounty Agent as well, because it actually kills legendary permanents that are artifacts, creatures, or enchantments. Creatures being specific ones, it means that we can kill any legendary commander creature, which is pretty cool. It's kind of the catch-all for this one. So, a few catch-all creatures in here, some removal, and a lot of targeting-based spells that are hopefully going to be repeatable, and protection spells, things like that. Mana base kind of speaks for itself. The only tap lands we've really got are Windscarred Craig and Temple of Triumph. Yes, I know it's Crag. Boros Guildgate, just to make sure we fix our mana. So we have to have that double white and red by turn 3, so it's really important that we do have some of these dual lands, even though we don't really want to be tapping out on turn 1. It's not as bad as in some decks anyway. Command Tower is Boros land that's untapped, pretty sweet. Fabled Passage, untapped on turn 4. And that's essentially the deck. If you guys enjoy this one, then make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for some more Brawl content in the future. But without further ado, I'm going to show you guys some gameplay. As I mentioned, this one's not going to be particularly good, so I imagine that we're going to lose as much as we win. But we're here to have a little bit of fun. That's what this channel's all about. We're not here to win. So, you know, winning's an upside. Fun is the primary goal. So hopefully you guys have fun, and I'll see you in the games. Alrighty then, we're in, and we've got a 2-lander with a Krenko, which is nice. Our opponent's playing Emry, Lurker of the Lock, so 3 mana for a 1/2, costs 1 less to cast for each artifact you control, and when it enters you mill 4, and actually Emry can cast artifacts from the graveyard as well. So I don't really expect to see much, if any, removal from our opponent, which means Krenko's going to get quite out of hand, especially if I can give him counters, make him indestructible, pump him with Aurelia. So I'm going to keep this hand. This looks like a hand that's not really going to have to rely on Feather at all. So let's play Command Tower and pass the turn. See if our opponent has the turn 1 artifact. They don't, and we have Feather mana as well. So we could actually get down Feather first. I think I probably want to do Krenko first so I can attack in with him. And then maybe on turn 4 do Feather plus Gird for battle, something like that. That's a 1/3. I also want to make sure that Krenko can actually push through what my opponent's doing as quick as possible. If he can get too big, then we're going to be okay. I'm guessing things like bounce spells are going to be the only removal we should really expect. Firemind's Vessel for our opponent. Okay. So, yeah, I could get down Feather and just swing for 1 here. I think that's fine. Oh, swing for 2, actually, because he gets the counters first and then makes goblins, so 2 goblins. If we get to untap, then we get Gird for battle every turn, so I get to put a counter on both Krenko and Feather as we attack. Unless our opponent's got something like Flood of Tears, they're probably going to be in trouble. Okay. No, Mirror Maid's not doing anything. Agent of Treachery is no longer a problem. So that's a really good set of cards for us, at least. Mystic Forge. Ooh. Okay. Let's see if they can go crazy. Guild Globe. Draws a card. And they got 2 mana left open here. So, do they have anything off the top of their deck? It's going to be a land. Okay. And Steel Overseer. That could get a little bit crazy, not gonna lie. But so can we. So I don't think we have really anything to worry about, honestly. I think I'm gonna go with Robber of the Rich. And maybe go for the counters on both Robber and Krenko. Have them get a little bit out of hand, so you and you. Feather triggers, so Gird for Battle's coming back to my hand at the end of turn. And yeah, we might as well just get in with everything. Don't mind losing some goblins here, if it means that I get to hit them for a lot more. Pass the turn, and get Gird for Battle back. Which means I'm going to be making an absurd amount of goblins next turn. But honestly, it's just probably going to be an unbreakable formation here if our opponent cannot bounce all of my stuff. So Witching Well, in order to use Mystic Forge, has to roll over a colourless or an artifact spell. So I think Witching Well's the only blue artifact. Could be wrong about that. Might be wrong about that. But yeah, they're going to need something insanely good here, because I have a Chance for Glory as well that I could actually choose to use instead, getting an extra turn. Finale of Revelation, and yep, that's going to be the game. Let's just Chance for Glory for victory. Scrabbling Claws. 1 mana left over, and yeah, they're done. It's not very often you get to use Chance for Glory, so let's do it. Chance for Glory. All of our creatures are indestructible. I should do this on combat so that the Krenko tokens are also indestructible. But yeah. Our opponent's done. We get extra combat steps, which means we get 2 attacks with Krenko. I even get to Gird for Battle to plus him up, and then Unbreakable Formation the following turn to give them all +1/+1, and additional Indestructible yet again. So that was actually pretty good, but I don't think our opponent's deck is really suited to take on ours. Definitely not the hand that we had anyway. So yeah, pretty good. Let's go for another game. Alrighty then, we're in, and we've got a God's Willing, which is probably one of the best cards that we can have as a feather deck. We're up against Nicol Bolas Dragon God, which is just removal tribal, so that can actually prove to be quite a huge issue, and we do need another white. But I'm going to keep this hand because I can actually cast Hushbringer and maybe pump it into something reasonable. It's a fine hand. It's not a great hand though. But yeah, we're not casting Feather until turn 4 at least. Thought Erasure is going to really be rough if they've got that, which no doubt they will. But yeah, gonna have to take a hand like this. I don't expect us to win. But we'll see. We'll see. Positive attitude, I guess. I'm a realist rather than an optimist. So yeah, this deck kind of built out to pump out Bolas's right on time as well. Killing creatures or planeswalkers is not very good for us, but this comes out on 5. Ours comes out on 4 with God's Willing Protection, so if we can get there, then that's going to be quite nice. Let's just go Mountain Go, and just hope that we draw another Plains. We need a 4th land anyway. Temple to fix our opponent's draws. That's the blue and red that they need. So they're going to need to draw their lands quite well. Obviously, Nicol Bolas does have a bit of a rough casting cost. They go for the bottom. Ooh, we got our Plains. Alright, actually this could bode well. Our opponent's going to need basically double removal spell for our Feather at this rate, which is quite nice. And if they can't do that early, then we're in a good spot as well. So like on their turn, they're going to have to remove a creature. And maybe... Ooh, Arcane Signet. Ugh. Alright. So they've got the blue, the red, and one of their blacks here. 2 more mana away. So, yeah, let's just do Plains and swing with Hushbringer. We're not going to play our Feather because it will die. And then we'll have to pay 2 more to get it out again, at which point our opponent will remove it again. So it's really just not a good idea. The whole game plan relies on keeping Feather in play. So maybe another protection spell would be quite nice so that we have double protection later. Chance for Glory. So that's a protection spell, alright. Okay, so let's get Feather down. Opponent's going to use their removal if they've got it. Oh, they've got counter magic. Why does a Bolas deck have counter magic? Alright, we lose. Ah, to the command zone with you. Yeah, so the likelihood is now that they've managed to remove my Feather, it means Bolas is going to get to come down first. And that means that I am not able to play my Feather until like turn 6 without having to protect. And by that point, they've got enough mana then to... Legion Warboss? Okay. To actually double removal spell me, which is exactly what they want to do. Okay, so Warboss gets to start spewing forth a lot of horrible stuff. Bounty Agent's not too bad. Does allow me to kill a legendary permanent, which is a thing-ish. We can also protect against the Legion Warboss to a certain extent as well. 2-2 with Vigilance. They're not likely to swing in with their Warboss then. So, yeah, I think... I mean, maybe we want to just hold back. It's a tough call on that one. I reckon they're going to have removal for us. They have drawn their mana in a bit of a rough way. They need another black source to be able to cast Bolas next turn. So I'm just going to pass, I think, here. See what they want to do. Definitely had something to do there that wasn't a counter spell. I need a land off the top and I need it bad. It's a shame none of these spells actually allow me to scry except for the God's Willing, which I need to keep in my hand. There is no hope that I win this game without it. Gateway Plaza. Alright, we've dodged Bolas again. But he's coming down next turn, without a doubt. I will trade my Bounty Agent for a Legion Warboss. Probably even go for a Pump Spell, maybe, to save him. See how they want to do it. Okay, I'll gain 1 life. This is good for me. I like this. This is the play that I wanted our opponent to make. And they pass. They've got counter magic again, haven't they? Oh, they've got counter magic again. There's nothing I can do about it, except for play into it, which I'm obviously going to do. So let's get in with the Bounty Agent, see if they want to trade their Warboss. Very unlikely. Maybe they want to use removal. Very unlikely. And if they counter magic me here, I scoop. Simple as that. Sinister Sabotage. Devious Cover-Up. Alright, we managed it. And unfortunately they're going to try and remove Feather on my end step, which means I can't get my God's Willing back until their end step. Which means they get to untap, play their Bolas, kill my Feather, by the looks of things. But I don't really have a choice. Converting my cost 2 or less. I'm just going to have to force them to do it. Protection from black, please. And Stone Coil Serpent is actually pretty decent. I'm going to keep that. Protection from multicolored means that I can run that right through with the trample into my opponent's Bolas repeatedly. And I imagine most of their removal is actually multicolored, so short of something like Murderous Rider, I'm going to be all good. But if they minus their Bolas, he's going to be on 1 and die to Hushbringer, so they're going to need something there as well. Alright, let's see how they choose to attack. I'm not going to block with Feather. I think it looks like a bit of bait to me, honestly. Maybe Disfigures are in my future. So let's block Bounty Agent here, Hushbringer here. Leave it at that. It's such a suspicious attack because I don't think that that's all too profitable unless like the post-combat looks nice to them. And there's Nicol Bolas. Maybe they were hoping that I'd lose my Hushbringer, perhaps. There goes Feather to the command zone. But I do get to resolve my Serpent by the looks of things, so that's pretty good. I need Hushbringer to live, and it looks like that isn't going to happen either. Oh, come on. That is rough. Alright, well, let's make a 5/5 Stone Coil Serpent with God's Willing open, I guess. I might even consider just attacking my opponent instead of the Nicol Bolas, because he's just going to come back the turn after I kill him anyway. Instead, go for, like, dumping maybe Chance for Glories and things like that. Actually, I think it's the Infuriate, because we protect with God's Willing. I can give Indestructible with Chance for Glory for an extra combat step. I'm just thinking about how I actually try to kill my opponent here without needing to bother about Nicol Bolas. I think it's maybe doable because this is 12 damage right here, plus an extra combat step for another 5. It's maybe plausible. We're gonna have to see though. So Bolas costs 7 when I kill him, and they're already at that mana to just recast him anyway. Maybe I get them to do that regardless though. That might be perfectly fine. So hold the Justice Strike for a better card, maybe even for just discard purposes. We got the God's Willing, and he's already kind of in lethal range even through the Goblin token here. It's a tough one actually as to whether or not I kill Bolas. They're just going to make me lose cards anyway. But if he takes 7 mana of his turn to just recast Bolas, ticking up because that's his only option, then he's going to be on, what's he go down to? Up to 5 and dies again to the Stone Coil Serpent. Yeah, maybe this is actually correct. Just pressure the Bolas constantly with protection open. Anticipate. Looking for a mono-coloured answer to Stone Coil Serpent. I never thought that this card would actually be potentially my win con, carrying me to victory. I mean, it's a really good card in the late game when you can just shove all the counters on it, but I was not expecting it to actually be the decider between winning and losing here. So yeah, let's just pass the turn. I guess we're throwing Justice Strike to Bolas. And just kill him until he's unaffordable. Something like that, maybe. Keep our best 3 cards in hand at all times. Or 2, depending on if they have blockers here for the Serpent. Might have to Justice Strike a blocker or something like that. See how they want to proceed. They can always have counter magic again, because obviously I was not expecting an Ionize. Most of the time you don't really see counter magic from Bolas. I mean, it's not as if it's a bad thing. Oh, come on. Alright, we lose. Sacks a creature. Yeah, we can't win now. Nothing we can do about that.
Exchange for eternal service.
Right, get rid of the Justice Strike.
Let your weak mind
And we're done.
crumble.
There's nothing we can do here. We can do like Tajik, Uncaged Fury, kill Nicol Bolas, but we're not going to 21 our opponent before they get to replay their Bolas yet again. Robber of the Rich. Oh well. Robber. Uncaged Fury. Kill Bolas. With God's willing backup, and we get to steal a card from them, which is a land, which means Robber of the Rich is terrible. Yeah, that's foul. Alright, maybe Robber can get us some good cards off the top of our opponent's deck that aren't lands. Bolas costs 9 now, so, I mean, they can recast him again. But maybe if they go for a minus on Robber of the Rich or something like that, we can God's Willing protect. Into potential removal spell for this Goblin. Not going to do that, though. Let's get rid of Chance for Glory.
I outsmarted you eons ago.
Alright, if we don't draw anything good here, then I am going to scoop. It's not really good. Sacred Foundry. Feather's just not castable. It's just not realistic at all. So let's swing first. And then hopefully we roll off the top. That's not very good. We don't have swamps in our deck. Well, might as well just make this protection from red. Joust. It's not going to do me much good, is it? No, not really. It gets rid of the token, I suppose. But not for long. Actually, it doesn't. It just trades off my Robber of the Rich, so definitely not going to play that. Play Dread Presence. Opponent ticks up. We're going to get rid of just a land. We're never casting Feather. We just need good top decks.
Without limit.
Prism Realm, I guess, is a good top deck. Gideon giving Indestructible to Robber of the Rich, maybe. There's also off the top of our opponent's deck with our Robber of the Rich if it survives, which is very unlikely since our opponent has 6 cards in hand. And this tends to be removal tribal. So, yeah, I don't expect him to live. Bounces Dread Presence, plays Dread Presence, plays a Swamp, kills Robber of the Rich, and I scoop. Play your Swamp. Yeah, that's sickeningly good turn, unfortunately. Yep. Dumps a land. Maybe they don't have the Swamp, but they certainly have enough to beat me, so I'm just going to see what I top deck, what's on the top of their deck, and then I'm going to leave, because there's nothing good here for me. Massacre Girl is the only thing I can really think of that our opponent could be running that has any kind of impact here. And even then, I'm not convinced it's going to be enough. Yep, tap for 2. And we get a plane, so far so bad for us. Let's swing. There's pretty much nothing we can draw off the top that stops our Robber of the Rich from dying in combat here. Looks like he's just going to die pre-combat. Yeah. Alright, so we're going to scoop it up, go to the next game, and hopefully not have removal tribal, which this deck really struggles against. Alrighty then, we're in, and this hand's fine. It needs a red source, of course, but Bounty Agent gets rid of Yarok, which is who we're playing against today. Doubles all enter the battlefield abilities, essentially. Yeah, it just needs a red mana, and this hand's fine. I'm going to take it. We get to play things. Do I want to go in for the 1/1 first? Pressuring our opponent might actually be better than the +2/+1. So I'm going to take it. Then we go Bounty Agent. Hopefully we draw a red source in that time and then play Feather. Obviously there's a Grazer. No attacking for me. Okay. Oh, Bounty Agent. Pass. That's really, really tilting. It's only a point, though. I'll get over it, I suppose. We can Defiant Strike through the creature if we want to. That can't block. And, well, there's Feather mana, so we do want to get down Feather first. It's pretty important that we do that. Our opponent can't block, of course, with the 2-2, so we're going to get in a point here. Opponent chumps with the Bounty Agent, and as long as we can dodge removal, I think this game is ours. That's all we really have to do. We get to pump stuff out of range of our opponent's blockers. Bounty Agent gets Yarok on turn 5, hopefully. That's a protection from blue, so not protection from us. And I've got good blockers for that, so. Samet's Sprint. Okay. So we're racing. We're racing, and I think we're winning said race. I'm going to go with the Defiant Strike first. Does it pay to put anything on anyone else? I don't have any trample, do I? So yeah, I'm going to have to spread the love here if I'm going to get through that Arboreal Grazer. So let's put it on the Fairy Guide Mother. Draw a card. It's not a good card. And yeah, I guess we're just going to Infuriate and start pushing through. Our opponent's going to be on the Yarok next turn. I actually want the Samet Sprint, right? It's 1 point less, but it's not actually going to get in any points. This way I get to scry, and when my Defiant Strike comes back, I've got a... Yarok is at 5 toughness. Could actually use that on the Shifting Ceratops, so I'm happy with that. And then let's get in and get in. So they block the 4, they take the 3. Grazer's out of the way, so now we're uncontested in the skies, hopefully. When we get back our pump spells, we're going to use Defiant Strike on our opponent's turn to draw another card, comes back on their end step. They've got a tap land, which is unfortunate for them. A Frost Lynx, that's annoying. What are you going to target? Bounty Agent, by the looks of things. Does allow them to keep a Yarok around, as far as they're concerned. Or they can go with the Feather. But I'm just going to put all my points on Fairy Guide Mother anyway, so it really doesn't matter. Alright, so let's get out of the way. Defiant Strike the Fairy Guide Mother, draw the cards that we know we want. Feather doesn't untap, and I guess our opponent has had enough. Okay. I mean, I think this is the best hand we've had all day, so I honestly do think that we win this one. Eventually, like, we get to the point where we've got enough power in hand, we can chance for glory and take an extra combat step and then reuse all of our pump spells. Like double Samet Sprint and Infuriate, plus extra card draw. This removal for their big thing as well, so that they're not really pressuring us. Yeah, that's a good situation to be in, I suppose. Let's go for one more game. Alrighty then, we're in, and we've got the perfect mana for Feather. Our opponent's playing Ji Yang Yu, Wildcrafter, so 3 mana, 3 loyalty Planeswalker. Each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it adds 1 mana of any colour, and then the minus allows you to actually apply a counter. So we're probably up against kind of a ramp-ish kind of deck. I like this hand, honestly. The only thing I have to worry about as far as Feather's concerned and removal is probably fight spells, and we should be bigger than them with good for battles being repeated over and over again, as well as Justicia's Portal to flicker it maybe later on down the line. We'll have to see. So yeah, it's probably going to be Mana Dork Tribal for our opponent. See if they get down the Jiang Yu. They might as well, because if they put a counter on the Gilded Goose, then it actually produces 5 colours even then, and you don't need your food tokens anymore. I'm going to go with the Pelt Collector first, though. Okay. Tomic's going to be pretty good if they're running Nissa who shakes the world, so I like that. Might as well play him down. I think he's better than Robber of the Rich, which we are incapable of getting any value off right now. I'm not blown away by this card, to be honest. I don't know. It's too miss rather than hit. So, you know, it's one of those.
We'll do this together.
Gilded Goose gets the counter. Alright. So if I can push through the goose, which technically I can, then we've not got too many problems. I can good for battle the Atomic. I could wait though a little bit. I don't have to worry about Nissa because lands can't be targeted from Atomic. I think I'll go with the Feather though, so that I can use good for battle on both of my creatures and get it back. And there's no point swinging. Suppose I could maybe test them, but I don't know. I don't really want to waste my time testing the waters to see if they want to do anything there. Alright, so they've got 6 mana to work with. Nissa is not an option. Bloom Hulk. Oh boy. Yeah, that needs to die. Actually, no, this isn't... Yeah, this isn't a landfall kind of thing. So they're kind of a proliferate deck, as it turns out. Alright, we'll take 4. I was thinking that this is the proliferate lady, and it's not. It is absolutely not. Okay. So, we've got 1 red mana to work with, and then the rest is white. We've got good for battle, so we can kill some good stuff. Maybe Tactician to get the Gilded Goose out of the way. That might be an option. I mean, I can just play Aurelia, right? She's a 2/5, so she blocks quite well. I can still kill Jiang Yu and force them to replay it with his current board state. Yeah, let's do it. Let's get her down as well. And Vigilance if it's white. So, yeah, I can give Vigilance to... I might as well give it to Feather, honestly. She's got the biggest booty, right? That could matter. So there goes Jiang Yu. Damage might be done, though. If they are, like, all-in proliferate kind of style, then they've got some pretty annoying creatures that I have to deal with. I've got a Justice Strike for just one of them, though. Maybe they go Jiang Yu, put a counter on the Bloom Hulk. It's a possibility, I suppose. I'll just kill Jiang Yu again, though. And then Justice Strike one of the big dudes before they get out of hand. Biogenic Ooze. Now that has to die. Oh boy, that has to die. So we're taking 4 here. Yep. Alright. So, block there. Opponent's deck is going off. I'll give him that. This is absolutely doing what it's supposed to do. Alright, so kill the Scoos. We want to good for battle. We're going to put it on Aurelia so that she can mentor Atomic. And then I'm going to put it on Feather, I guess, so that we can block the 4/4s. Windscarred Craig. And yeah, let's give... well, I could actually give +2. Maybe actually... No, if I put it on... I guess it doesn't really matter. I'll give my Aurelia the pump. And then, yeah, let's get swinging, I suppose. I'm just wondering if I want to put the counter on the Feather instead of the Atomic. Not entirely sure what we want to do there. Do I want Big Feather? I should probably have Big Feather, right? In case they've got Fight Magic. Rather than the Atomic. Which isn't actually going to get through this Gilded Goose anyway. So I probably shouldn't have even attacked in with it. Alright, let's attack him for 10. Basically. Yeah. And get good for battle back. So the Dizzying Swoop here is probably going to save me. Either by getting rid of any blockers that they might have. Nissa doesn't work. Well, she's got a passive, but she can't tick up. Atomic actually gives protection, basically. Lands on the battlefield and land cards in graveyards can't be the target of spells or abilities your opponents control, and Nissa's +1 is an ability that I plan on locking out, and it's exactly why I'm running Tomic, so glad to see it getting some use. Alright, well, take 4 again. 4's great to just take it all day. And we probably want to kill Nissa here, honestly. Even though she actually can't tick up, I don't really want our opponent having 10 mana excessive of that as well. Next turn, that would be pretty grim. So, yeah, let's go with... How do we want to do this? We're going to Gird for Battle again. Maybe the Tactician to tap down the Gilded Goose, use Robber of the Rich. Can I do all of this? 1, 3, 5, 7, 2, 4... Nah, can't. Can't do it all. I think I want to Gird for Battle, though. It's going to keep putting... Oh, good game. They've had enough. Yeah, keep putting counters on the feathers so we can keep pressuring our opponent's face. I guess maybe because they were on top decks, maybe I take the risk of them not getting something big. There's not really too much they can play with all of that excess mana, I suppose. There is the Hydra that doubles counters and fights, but I can portal out the whatever they target there, so yeah, good game. Alright guys, well that is going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoy this one. It's a little bit of a hit or miss kind of card, but I know that there has been a leak on the next set that actually does include another protection spell similar to like Justicia's Portal, so this actually might end up getting a few little pieces in the next set. I'd like to return to a lot of the Brawl commanders that I play between sets as well, so when a new set comes out, updating an old deck, things like that. It's kind of the fun of EDH, I suppose. So, you know, I might return to this one. It's a little bit weak at the moment. I don't really recommend any of you craft this deck, to be perfectly honest, but it's a lot of fun when it goes off. It does its thing. A little less inconsistent than Feather in Standard, of course, because they don't always have all the protection spells available to them at all times, but, you know, still a lot of fun. But anyway guys, if you enjoyed it, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe as well for some more content in the future. Other than that though, hit the bell icon so you get notifications when new videos go live. I will see you all next time for some more Magic Arena. Take care.